Together with Ma'am Janet is Sir Augusto Serrano Jr., also from Guapa Water District.
And we also welcome Ms. Jennifer Navarro, marketing assistant from SMBDO downtown.
Felix Barros from CLTV 36. And Mr. Art Junco. Consuelo.
We have Ms. Joanne Humanay from the Bank of Commerce.
Jeremiah David Sabu from San Luis.
Then, good afternoon po sa mga hindi po namin natawag, mamaya po i-acknowledge po natin sa isa. And of course, to welcome us all here at the PhilSys Information Education Campaign, let us all welcome our Chief Statistical Specialist from the Pampanga Provincial Statistical Office. Let's give her a big round of applause, Ms. Maria Virginia R. Oven.
Kaya pala natin po sa mga guests natin. So, another activity, some of the people here were here this morning para sa isang back-to-back po kasi ito. Mayroon kami isang activity for South Kids this morning. And this one ay hinabot ko. May nagtatanong bakit daw may special session for Pampanga. Special session because this was conducted 2 weeks ago in Zambales. So, sa invited ko sa Pampanga, hindi nila kinaya na punta na Zambales for a half-day activity. Isa lang ang dumating from Pampanga. And because of that activity, I saw the importance of this activity na dapat malaman ng taga-Pampanga. So right there, during that forum or that roadshow, I asked our ANS, Emily Pagador, our Assistant National Statistician, to join us here na magkakandak po ng sarili ko sa Pampanga. And of course, Sir Mark Laurente, also a division chief from the central office. At iyakag niya si Mr. Oliver Chancho. At whatever. Titingnan po aking Chancoco. Ayun, nagkakamali ako kay Sir Oliver pero sikat yan sa amin sa central office. So, tatlong bigating tao coming from the central office. Hindi po kami sa PSA Pampanga ang mag-discuss ngayon dahil I think we are more knowledgeable on this part and they can answer your questions later kasi ito po ang kanilang expertise. How will the PhilSys ID be used? So kaya kaninang umaga, if the people here are if you are here this morning, I was really encouraging everyone to join us this afternoon. Kasi I think this will be very important in our lives. One next year or the next years of our life, the use of the national ID. So yun po. Just to give you a konting background sa nangyayari o nagaganap, lagi kasi po akong natatawag ang atensyon sa aming central office because of the performance of Pampanga when it comes to the PhilSys registration. Meron pa po bang hindi na-rehistro rito para sa kanyang national ID? Huwag po kayong mahiya, tutulungan namin kayong marehistro. Kung meron pa po, ayun, meron pa. Meron po tayo registration sa likod. Pwede po kayo magpa-ID ngayon. Ano po? Ngayon po, sino naman po ang nakatanggap na ng national ID? Pwede tumayo po yung mga nakatanggap na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9. Isa lang yung nagtayo na yung tumayo ka nagtaas na hindi pa nag-ID, ano? Sino ang, ikaw pa rin, ma'am. So, sino yung nasa likod? Nakakadalawang output na yan. Tapos, sino pa pong hindi nakakakuha ng ID niya? Pwede tumayo po. So, kayo pong mga hindi pa nakakakuha, pwede po kayong i-discuss ngayon ni Ma'am at saka ni Sir. I-discuss nila ano ang pwede niyong gamitin habang wala pa ang physical ID. Ano po, malalaman niyo po later. Dito na, pero pwede na po kayo pumunta sa likod at sabihin sa inyo kung ano pwede niyo gawin. So anyway, yun po ang yung mga, alam ko yung mga tumayong huli, maraming nagtatanong din isang taon na ako dito. Pa-ID, nagpa-ID ako, hindi ko natatanggap, kaya yung iba tinatanggap ng pa-ID dahil hindi natatanggap ng ID. So anyway, as I said earlier, natatawag ng attention ko kasi ang Pampanga, 74% pa lang po ang nagpaparegister sa national. So I still have to look for the 26% ng populasyon ng Pampanga at Angeles na hindi pa nagpapa-ID. So from the 2.9 million population of Pampanga, so more or less mga 1 million pa ang aking hinahanap na kailangan magpa-ID. So kaya po natatawag ng attention ko kasi 1 million pa po doon. No? So kailangan ko pa po silang hanapin. Kaya yung dalawa dito makakabawas dun sa ano po? Kasi yung nakalagay dito sa akin, may kodigo po ako, 2.6 million na dapat na marehistro. Ngayon, 1.9 pa lang yung nare-rehistro namin sa step 2. So 74% pa lang yun. Doon sa narehistro na 1.9 million, kalahating million pa lang po ang nabibigyan ng physical ID. Ano po? So, ibig sabihin may utang kami ng mga 1.4 million na ID para sa mga kabibis. Mamaya po, explain din nila yung ating mga expert dito kung bakit po. Ngayon po, para ma-augment yung utos sa amin ng Malacanang, kasi ang utos sa Malacanang sa PSA, mag-print kami ng 50 million IDs by the end of 2021. Ay, 2022 pa lang. So ngayon, nakaka-20 million pa lang na-deliver sa buong Pilipinas. So kailangan pa namin ng 30 million. Sabi daw po ng Central Bank, kaya nilang mag-print ng another 10 million until December. So 30 million yan. Yung 20 million po ay ginagawa namin ng paraan, kaya meron po kami registration section. So explain nila mamaya what is the e-fill ID, what is the printable ID. So that is what is this is all about also. This forum so that you can understand the national ID more. And as the host this morning, this afternoon has told us na I have called your names and your establishment where you belong to. Almost nasa financial institutions yung nandito. Almost, if not all, most of you are from the financial institutions. So we will be using really the ID. So kaya I think this forum is really needed for everyone to understand and what we will prepare to be able to accept the ID. As kahit na mag-isa lang siya, pwede na siyang magamit. So yun po, hindi ko na po pakakabahin dahil medyo mahaba yata ang i-discuss ng mga kasunod ko. Anyway, thank you po for your interest in joining us in this forum. And hopefully, mamaya kayo po ay uuwi sa inyong mga opisina at may daladalang maraming kaalaman tungkol sa national ID. Yan po mga papremyo kung dalawang po. Ayun lang po. Again, thank you sa aming mga pagpapaunlak sa amin, Sir Ma'am Emily, si Sir Mark, si Sir Oliver. Nakikita ko lang sila sa national workshops namin, pero ngayon they are my speakers and I feel so important because of that. Thank you very much for that.
Again, a big round of applause, please, to our Chief Physical Specialist, Ma'am Angie. And as mentioned po, we would like to acknowledge, of course, yung mga bagong dating po natin mga kasama. From Multitech, Mr. Liz Vergara. We also have Mr. Jeremiah Garcia from China Bank and Mr. Jefferson De La Cruz.
Also with us this afternoon from Baba Savers Bank, Mr. Christian Sue and Mr. Marlon Benjamin. Good afternoon po.
And as mentioned by Ma'am Angie, mamimigay po kami ng mga premyo sa mga attentive listeners natin. So, later on po, sa mga discussions, after discussions, or in between discussions, magtatanong po kami based sa mga presentations nila Sir Oliver, nila Sir Mark, or kung anong man yung mga mention nila Ma'am Angie at nila Ma'am Emma. So, listen attentively po dahil prizes are at stake. Ooh.
Okay, and now, to give us an inspirational message, may we call on Ms. Emily R. Pagador, Assistant National Statistician from Use Case Development and Management Service.
Hi, good afternoon. Na kayo. Good afternoon. Yan. Kailangan may buhay dahil mahaba ang discussion natin. Anyway, I will just read my inspirational message. Ngayon ko na nalaman kung I need to give one. So anyway, to the officials and staff of PSO Pampanga, representatives from the government, financial and private institutions, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon to all of you. It is my pleasure and privilege to express our sincere and profound admiration and gratitude for sparing your valuable time and efforts in participating in today's information, education, and communication campaign. Your unwavering cooperation and support in advancing the objectives of the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys, have been instrumental to the success of the national ID operations. In this IEC, we will discuss topics about details on the PhilSys that is not being shared in social media and television, which will focus on online and offline authentication of identity and relevant issuances of PhilSys. We understand that a robust ID system is built on the trust of our people. Hence, it is the standing public policy that PhilSys shall put primacy on protecting the privacy and user rights of individuals by establishing strong legal frameworks and institutional accountability. We hope that this PhilSys IEC will give interested parties from the financial and private sectors information and updates on PhilSys and its API-enabled authentication services, as well as instructions on the onboarding procedure and requirements for integration with PhilSys. Through our continuing coordination and collaboration, we will be able to see things from a wider angle and address all the factors we must consider to provide a solution that serves everyone's interests. We thank you once more, our stakeholders and development partners, for constantly supporting and helping us in achieving our innovations and endeavors to further improve the quality of our service. Providing exemplary services to all our clients has been and will always be our top priority. We are hoping that by the end of our IEC, we will be equipped with information and knowledge of PhilSys. We are also anticipating each of you to be an advocate of the PhilSys initiatives and future activities. We look forward to your continued and unwavering support for all our programs and projects, and to a sustained collaboration towards advancing our services to the Philippine people. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, it is high time that we put our vision, leadership, and political will to make this transformational national agenda a reality. With that, thank you. Mabuhay ang PhilSys, and may God bless us.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Emily, for that wonderful message.
Yes. So, handa na po ba tayo sa ating main leader? Mamaya pa po yung mga question and answer po natin.
Yung iba parang kinakabahan na, Sir Mark, parang nag-concentrate na, nag-internalize na sila on how to answer our questions.
Kasi parang nag-take down notes sila dun sa inspirational message niya.
Pero malay nyo, may kukulit kaming questions dun sa mga messages ng ating mga naunang speakers kanina.
Yes. And para po magtuloy-tuloy na po tayo sa mga topics at nabanggit nga po nila Ma'am Angie at nila Ma'am Emily kanina na mahaba po yung ating mga discussions. to discuss the salient features of RA 11055, the PhilSys and ePhil ID, and the API-enabled authentication services. Let us all welcome the OIC Division Chief from Financial and Private Sector Use Case Division, Use Case Development and Management Service. Let us all welcome Mr. Oliver P. Chantoco.
Thank you very much. I would want that my surname be part of the questions. To our ANS from NV and to the PSO at Pampanga. And of course, our participants from the private sector and other government sector, a pleasant afternoon. It is a little unholy hour, medyo malamig at medyo mahaba po yung presentation ko. So, pakicheck din po kung sino mga natutulog. Babawin natin yung idea. My presentation is about the PhilSys API-enabled authentication services. We will also be discussing the ePhil ID and the PhilSys Check, the authentication service of the PSA for PRO and the Phil ID. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you very much. Sino na po yung nakapag-attend dito ng aming roadshow or the same activity like webinars or face-to-face activities? Wala pa po. So first time niyo pong makapag-attend ng ganito. Medyo mahaba nga po yung presentation. Let us first take a look at the international perspective of the importance of the having a national ID system. As reported by the World Bank, globally an estimated 1 billion people out of the 8 billion people lack a legal ID or does not in any way have an identification document to prove their identity. And out of the 8 billion, more or less, 3.4 billion people have an ID but is not digitally enabled, meaning it is subject to fraud and to other forms of crime. As the initiative, global initiative, the Sustainable Development Goals stated that by 2030, under target 16.9, all people from birth should be provided with identification as their basic right. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, people without an identification face basic barrier to exercise their rights and access services. Good example of which are as follows. Number one, in India, financial inclusion jumped from 35% to 80% from the year 2021 to 2017 by the introduction of Aadhaar, their national ID system, their Aadhaar eKYC or electronically know your customer. The huge percentage in the inclusion or increase in the financial inclusion they were able to achieve because they were able to implement their eKYC through their national ID system. Another example of the notable advantage of having a comprehensive national ID system is in the country Pakistan, they were able to save $248 million following the 2010 floods by using a national ID to verify the eligibility and to cross-check database. They were able to reduce, if not to eliminate, frauds or fraudulent claims and other form of corruption. Another example of having advantage of having a national ID system is in the country Estonia. Digital ID enables 99% of the government services to be completely online, hence saving an average resident 5 days a year. So you don't need to physically go to a certain government agency to apply for a certain service or a document. You just need to present your documents through online via their national ID system. One of the most important aspects of having a national ID system is the example given by the country Thailand. Thailand reached 98% of health insurance coverage in just 3 years using the national ID system to find who was not already covered by their national health coverage. So for the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen, may we present to you the updates on the implementation of the PhilSys. Apologies, the slide is not updated. As of October 31, we were able to register 75 million of Filipino people. We were able to generate, the Philippine Statistics Authority was able to generate 50.70 million PSN. 25.3 million Phil ID cards were already dispatched. 18.9 million Phil ID cards delivered through the PhilPost. And we were able to print and distribute 3.1 million e-Phil ID. So what is the legal basis of the implementation of the PhilSys? That we present to you the salient features and provisions of RA 11055. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, marami pong ID sa Philippines. There are lots of IDs. One agency, one ID. Sometimes, yung isang agency, hindi lang isa yung ID niya. But not all Filipinos, or there are still Filipinos who doesn't have any identification, especially those who are marginalized. Why? Because for you to be able to be provided or issued an ID by a certain government agency, you need to be eligible. For example, sa LTO, for you to be able to be provided with the LTO ID, which is the license, you need to be a professional driver, etc. It's not inclusive. The national ID system, those are the reasons why the government, through and the public sector and the private sector, was able to introduce and have it approved RA 11055 or the Philippine Identification System Act. It was signed into law on August 2018 to establish a single national identification system referred to as the Philippine Identification System or the PhilSys to all citizens and resident aliens. Ladies and gentlemen, the PhilSys is not just for the Filipino citizens, but also for resident aliens. So what is PhilSys? PhilSys shall primarily be established to provide a valid proof of identity to all citizens and resident aliens as a means of simplifying public and private transactions. It aims to eliminate the need to present other forms of identification when transacting with the government and private sector. Of course, subject to proper and appropriate authentication measures based on biometric identification system. As we all know, if you go to a certain government agency or private agency, especially to the banks, you are required to present more than one identification. That is one, and of course, those are under, or those who are our fellow who are marginalized. Presenting two IDs is difficult. So, like, majority of them doesn't even have any ID. That's one reason, one drive why the government is pushing and was able to push and approve the implementation of the national ID system. With the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, all BSP supervised financial institutions are required to honor and accept the national ID system as a valid proof of identity without presenting any other identification document. That is clear in the law, clear in the memorandum issued by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and by the Philippine Statistics Authority as the issuing or as the implementing agency of the PhilSys. I hope you have already read that the issuance of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Yes po. Sino na po dito yung report na hindi nagtatanggap ng national ID system? Papacheck po namin mamaya. So for those who were able to register, sino pa po yung hindi nag-register? Bakit? Busy, no? Oh, sorry. When you go to the registration area, dati po kasi medyo pahirapan yung registration because of the COVID. Now, medyo relax na po. So kung mamaya may time ka, you can just go at the back dun sa registration area. There are two sets of information we gather from you during your registration. The demographic and the biometric. And we would like to highlight that only the PhilSys requires or only the PhilSys gathers this data for a national ID. The demographic information we are requiring you to submit are as follows. Your name, of course, your sex at birth, date of birth, place of birth, your blood type, your address, whether you are Filipino or a resident alien, since you also register those resident aliens. And of course, it is optional for you to provide your marital status, your mobile number, and your email address. Though we suggest, ladies and gentlemen, for certain purposes, that you provide us this information. Aside from the demographic information, we require you to submit this following information. Your front-facing photograph. The photograph we print in your ID passes a certain requirement by the certain government agency. Hindi lang siya basta-basta picture for photogenic purposes. There are certain standard. ICAO, and not mistaken, yes, ICAO. Of course, your full set of fingerprints, regularly or normally 10 yon. But those who, our friends with physical disabilities, we have certain and we have special way to register them. And iris, your two eyes. Doon sa mga may isa lang, again, we have a special way to register them. We would like also to highlight and to inform you that proof of identity as regards the national ID system shall not necessarily be construed or shall not necessarily mean a proof of eligibility to avail a certain benefits and services. The identity the national ID system provides does not necessarily mean that you're eligible. It is still within the purview and within the jurisdiction of the government agency, basing on the data that the national ID system or your ID provides. So, as any other law, the RA 11055 also provides for the penalties of those who will be violating the law. Number one, utilization of the PhilID or PSN is in unlawful manner or use of the same to commit any fraud or any other unlawful purposes, you will be penalized or imprisoned from 6 months to 2 years and a fine of 50 to 500 pesos. Another, using false information during your registration in PhilSys or during renewal, willful falsification, mutilation, alteration, or tampering of the PhilID. Unauthorized use of the PhilID, meaning use the PhilID or PSN of the other person. Possession of fake, falsified, or altered PhilID. Napakadali lang pong malaman kung fake or altered na yung national ID niyo or yung ID. Transferring of PhilID or PSN to any other person. Once proven guilty, will be imprisoned from 3 to 6 years and a fine of 1 million to 3 million pesos. And lastly, collection or using of personal data in violation of Section 12 of this law. I hope you have already provided with a copy of the law. Using and disclosing data or information in violation of Section 17 of this law. Accessing the PhilSys or processing data or information contained therein without any authorization. You will be imprisoned from 6 to 10 years and a fine of 3 million to 5 million pesos. If you have questions, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to write them and we will discuss them during the open forum. There are two basic functions of the PhilSys, the registration and the use case. During the registration, those who have successfully registered will be provided with a PSN or PhilSys number. create a unique digital identity for all Filipinos and resident aliens. That's the PhilSys number. That is your number in perpetuity until you die. From the time you have registered until you die. That doesn't change. Even if you change your cards for 1,000,000 times, your PSN will be the same. And of course, after your registration is the use case. For the PhilSys to provide a reliable authentication of an identity for a secure digital transaction. So, for those who have yet to receive their national ID or the PhilID card, this is how we process your data. Next. Okay. From the moment you go to the registration area for registration, your data will be transmitted to the PhilSys. The PhilSys will deduplicate your information. It is our basic principle that it is statistically possible for someone to have, or it is statistically possible for 2 or more persons to have demographic information. Meaning, pwede yung pangalan ko, may kapangalan, ka-birthday, ka-sex, the same sex, or whatsoever. But it is statistically impossible for 2 persons to have the same biometric information. That's the purpose of the duplication. Your data will be deduplicated to all the data stored in the PhilSys. Hence, it takes certain period of time. So, kailangan ko namin isa-isahin yun. Pero hindi naman manual, no? For else 10 years yung data na manual namin through a system. And after we have established that you are unique, we validate the information, then we generate your PSN. After the generation of PSN, we now send your data to the printing of the cards or card production and personalization through the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. After that, we put your documents in a certain envelope, then we send this for dispatch through the PhilPost. And after which, when you have received already your card, you can now use it. The important aspect of being registered in the PhilSys is your PSN. Sino na dito yung may hawak na ID? 1, 2. Pakibigyan ko sila ng payong with SPF 50. Alam niyo po ba kung nasa yung PSN mo? O, di ba? Sino alam mo nasa yung PSN nila, mananalo ng 1 million pesos? Wala, no? Ma'am, saan ma? Wala kang ID card, di ba? Karapatan mong sumagot. Yes, ma'am, of course. It's a letter, very good. Nasaan ka, sir? Oh, that's not the PSN. Tama, nasa likod, pero yung micro-printed doon sa kabilang side mo. Yung may micro-print. Doon sa kabila. Yan, may micro-printed dyan. That's your PSN. That's your number in perpetuity. So once na compromise yung number mo, madali na lang gumawa ng crime using your identity. So we recommend, ladies and gentlemen, for those may ID na to secure your PSN. So the PSN is very crucial, very important. Ano yung gagamitin natin for transactions? Thank you. Pwede po natin gamitin yung PhilID card, yung PhilSys mobile app, at saka yung tokenize or tokenization na na-store doon sa database ng mga private or relying parties. PCN is the PhilSys or PhilID card number. Yung PhilID card number nandun sa taas ng picture. Ang PhilID card, the life of the PCN is congruent or nakabase siya dun sa life ng PhilID card. So in case na wala at magpapagawa ko ulit ng PhilID card, mag-iiba yung PhilID card mo, but not the PSN. In case na mag-update ka ng information at bibigyan ka ng bagong PhilID card, magbabago rin yung PhilID card number mo, but not the PSN. You can also use the alias PSN. You can use it for authentication generated by a holder via app or portal similar to virtual credit card number. For example, the mobile ID. Pero this is yet to be released by the PSA. We are still in the process of finalizing some details, but soon it will be. And the backend token, generated and seeded in the database through backend process. Yung mga medyo, yung mga may background sa IT, medyo alam po nila yung backend token. We will discuss that later. Now, there are two methods of authentication, the online and the offline. The online, meaning we are connecting to the PhilSys registry system. The offline, meaning through the use of your derivatives, like the PhilID card and the mobile ID, through the PhilSys check. It is not, or it doesn't mean na hindi mo na kailangan ng internet access pag offline ha. Yung offline po namin, ibig sabihin, hindi tayo kumokonect dun sa registry system mismo ng PhilSys. Yung online, we are checking the authenticity of the ID card or the e-PhilID through PhilSys check lang. Hindi tayo nagko-connect doon sa database ng PhilSys. Ito po yung itsura ng PhilID para sa mga wala pa pong PhilID. May photo, your demographic information, such as name, your birthday, your address, your sex, etc., etc. At the back, ito po, ito yung PSN, micro-printed. The QR code contains the information as presented in the PhilID. So, during authentication using the PhilSys check, those information should match. Kung ano yung nasa QR code at ano yung nakaprint, it should match. Thank you. Okay. Now we go to the e-PhilID. Please let me know kung mabilis po akong mag-discuss. The e-PhilID or the PhilSys Digital ID is a proactive strategy of the PSA to enable registrants to take advantage of the benefits of the PhilSys pending the delivery of the PhilID card. Persons who have successfully registered to PhilSys now have the option to avail the e-PhilID, the printable version of the PhilSys Digital ID. So kung nakapag-register na po kayo and we have already provided you with PSN at wala pa po yung PhilID card, no? You can just go to the link we will provide later, check kung meron na kayong PSN, schedule the printing of your e-PhilID and by choosing the place you want to print your e-PhilID. This is the e-PhilID. Ito yung itsura niya. The e-PhilID shows the person's PhilSys card number, PSN. Your PSN in the e-PhilID should be the same as your PSN in the PhilID card. And basic demographic information, such as your front-facing photograph, last name, given name. The e-PhilID also contains a QR code, your middle name, suffix, etc., etc. When we validate your e-PhilID through the PhilSys check, the same information as printed, it should match as the same information printed on the e-PhilID. Kung may maling isa, may problema. Ito ulit yung itsura niya. We would like to emphasize that the upper portion is the e-PhilID. The lower portion are the information. So you can tap it. You can photocopy it really, actually. You can take the original, make sure that those photocopy, the QR code of those photocopies are clear para pwedeng ma-read mo ang PhilSys check. So you can just photocopy numerous documents or numerous itinerary and keep it. Kasi di ba usually mga Pilipino nag-work kaya ang nasa isip nila, bakit sa papel lang? So you can photocopy it. We don't really recommend for you to laminate it kasi there's certain it may cause certain problems during the PSA check or the authentication. Yung lighting, yung reflection ng card kasi glossy siya. The QR code contains details such as demographic information as mentioned, as well as the front-facing photo of the person. It also uses public-private key cryptography to ensure that the information in the QR code cannot be tampered with. The QR code of the PhilID and the ePhilID is signed by the PSA or digitally signed by the PSA. Once you alter, malalaman po namin na na-alter siya kasi hindi na siya i-read ng PSA check. You can also, for the sake of discussion and for the sake of argument, you can also ask your friends to generate new PLCs from their home or from the recto. But it will not provide the same information once it's authenticated through PLC check. Kasi hindi makokopya yung digital signature ng PSA. That's one of the strengths of the PLCs for the PhilID card and the ePhilID card. Now, for the question, how can we get our ePhilID? First, access the ePhilID appointment system, nandyan po, APPD or appointment, that philsys.gov.ph. You will be asked to provide your transaction number. That document was provided to you after your successful registration, which is printed in the transaction sheet provided. Follow the prompt and provide the information requested at the ePhilID appointment system website. If you are eligible for a printed ePhilID, you want eligibility means we have already generated your PSN. You will be asked to book an appointment and choose a PhilSys registration center where you would like to claim your printed ePhilID. An appointment slip will be generated and sent to you. Please bring this along with one valid ID and your transaction number on the day of your appointment to claim your printed ePhilID. Yes. Aside from you going to the registration area, we have this initiative of generating the ePhilID and deliver it. Instead of you going to the registration area, the Philippine Statistics Authority took the advantage of printing those who are eligible, those who have already generated their PSN, their ePhilID, and we will be delivering your ePhilID. I think it's through PhilPost pa rin, ma'am. PSA na yung mag-deliver. But you can still do it in appointment. It's just that we are also having this initiative para maibigay na po namin at magamit niyo na po yung ePhilID niyo. Thank you, Isne. So, let's do the PhilSys check. Hindi pa. PhilSys check natin susunod dito. Later na yung PhilSys check, later na po yung how we demonstrate the verification of the PhilID and the ePhilID. So let's discuss slide 22, the PhilSys API-enabled authentication services. Slide 20. The PhilSys check is the level 0 of the authentication services provided by the PSA. For the API-enabled authentication services, we have 3 tiers. The basic online authentication. This will provide you a simple answer yes or no, verification against the data stored in the PhilSys registry. It can be accessed via secured open API connection. So once you go to the bank or to any other institution, and the institution will verify you through tier 1, it will provide a yes or no answer. Yes, the data match. Yes, it is Oliver Chancoco who's claiming to be Oliver Chancoco, or no, magkaiba yung tao dun sa demographic information na binibigay mo. That's the basic, that's tier 1. The tier 2, authentication plus sharing of data attributes from the PhilSys registry. This is the EKYC, or electronically Know Your Customer. Allows for automated pre-filling of customer information in the system of the relying party. So ano yung difference ng tier 1 at tier 2? Tier 1, it will just provide you yes or no. Later, malalaman natin kung paano. The answer we will provide is yes or no. For tier 2, aside from yes or no, we will also be providing, once it is successful, we will also provide the demographic information that is stored in the PhilSys. And tier 3, sorry, kabalik tayo. Token seeding and matching. Generating or generation of tokens for storage and seeding in the database of the relying parties. Matching tokens on same PSN holder across different relying parties. Okay, so ito na yung explanation niya. 1. Next. Thank you. Sa basic, as mentioned, the answer for the basic authentication is yes or no. Maria or Fernando with long hair will go to the bank and the bank will request for authentication, basic authentication. He will provide his PCN or PhilSys card number plus any of the following. 1, your front-facing photo, may lakad siguro, or your fingerprint, or your iris, or the SMS or one-time password, and or demographic information such as your name or date of birth. So pag binigyan mo yung PCN plus, for example, fingerprint, then the bank will submit this information through the PhilSys. The PhilSys will confirm whether this person or this PCN, bearing the name of this person, is the owner to his or her fingerprint, kung magka-match ba. Then, the PhilSys will provide an answer, yes or no. Yung PCN na yan nga yung fingerprint niya. Yan. Pagmamayari niya yung fingerprint. So, yes, match. So, ibig sabihin, authentic yung nasa PhilID niya. Then, the second, yun lang yung information dun sa first. Yung name, or yung PCN plus any of the biometric or demographic information. So, ang confirm lang ng PhilSys yes or no, match. The second level, the EKYC. So, again, that person goes to the bank. If the bank is enrolled with the PhilSys at tier 2, as relying party tier 2, he or she will provide her or his PCN plus any of the following information. For example, ang pinigay niya ulit ang fingerprint. The bank will provide that information to the PhilSys. The PhilSys will confirm, yes, it matched, and will provide the demographic information. So, hindi na lang yes or no, yung information na matatanggap ng bank. Again, provided that the bank is relying party of the PhilSys. Underwent the regulatory and technical onboarding of the PhilSys. I-explain ni Mr. Mark. So it will provide the demographic information such as your name, birthday, birthplace, etc., etc. Then the bank may use that to fulfill their form. Then the third one, ito medyo a little technical. When one person goes to the bank and requests for authentication, the information will be provided to the PhilSys. The PhilSys will provide the information to the bank once it's authenticated. The PhilSys will also provide the system or the backend of the bank with a token. The token of the information of that person. Then that bank can store that information in a token form. Meaning, hindi siya yung readable na Oliver, birthday, etc., etc. Token siya, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. but the information is inside. This is because once, in the event na ma-compromise yung database ng bank, ang makikita lang nila ay token. Wala silang makikita information. Then, the same, if you go to another bank, that is, again, onboarded with PSAs, the same will be done. It will provide a token to that system of the bank. Now the bank, in the event that there's a need to verify your information with the other bank and other government agency that is onboarded with PSAs and is onboarded under tier 3, they can match your token to the token that is saved or it is within their system. So they can verify na ikaw nga si 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 na may token sa ganitong bank and your token is something like this. So that's interoperability. Let us remember, ladies and gentlemen, the bank cannot go directly to the other institution. It must go to the PSAs. The PSAs will do the token matching and will provide you the answer. Not directly from bank A to bank B, agency A to agency B. Okay? May nakita ako nakatulog na dalawa. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will now show you that here, level 0 authentication. This is open to all establishment and to all individual. Lahat po kayo pwedeng i-verify the authenticity of your PhilID and ePhilID through the PhilSys check. Provided lang po kailangan ng cellphone na may camera or Android phone at may internet connection, stable internet connection. So for example, hindi pa po kayo nakapag on-board sa PLCs, may nag-submit sa inyo ng PhilID card for transaction. Sino po dito yung mga yung hindi taga-bank, yung mga taga-SFI, like money padala, wala, may invite, banks lang. For example, sa bank po. Yes, di ba? Pupunta ako doon and papakita yung PhilID card. How will you authenticate the PhilID card? This is how. Sino na po pala dito may ePhilID? Sino na ay si sir. Okay. Kailan po kayo nagpa-print, sir? Friday. Oh. Ano yung pwede natin ibigay? Bigyan natin yung buong A4. Bigyan natin ng notebook. Oh, may notebook si sir. Ma'am, pag nagpa-PhilID kayo, nagpa-register kayo, magbibigay ko namin yung buong kit sa inyo. Bigyan din natin ng notebook. Okay, what you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to type verify.philsys.gov.ph. Kung sino po yung may ID, pwede po ninyo kaming sundan. You can do it. Then, click. Yan. Yes, ma'am? Okay. Ito po yung makikita ninyo. Tama po ba? Pare-parehas po ba tayo na nakikita? Meron po ba kayo nakikita hindi na nakikita? Then, you just need to click po this one. PhilID muna po tayo, ha? Click natin. Then, itapat po natin yung QR code ng PhilID dito sa camera. Medyo may sensitivity lang sometimes dun sa lighting, dun sa angle niya. Once na successful yung authentication, ito po yung makikita ninyong result. It will provide your last name, first name, middle name, etc., etc. Yes, ma'am. Which means, okay. I-try din po natin yung ePhilID or i-try natin yung hindi or tampered na PhilID card. Kung tampered or ibig sabihin pinagawa niya lang, okay. It's either revoked or inactive or invalid yung ID na ma-review mo. We would like also to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, the first line, we hope that the first line of you authenticating the PhilID card is through its covert and overt features. Meron po kasi siyang covert and overt features. But if you wanted really to be sure, you can, and we recommend that you use the PhilSys check. Let's try naman po yung e-Phil ID. Okay? That's just the same. Verify that philsys.gov.ph, i-click yung QR code. Click ko natin yan. Then, once it is successful, ito po yung magiging authentication result. Now, what's the difference between the Phil ID and the e-Phil ID? Ano po yung difference? Para sa isang notebook. Planner for 2022. Ilang araw pang magagamit? Ay, ang email is yun. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Gusto ko niya lang doon.
Wala na. Kung nakikinig, kung alert po kayo, yan. Ang pagkakaiba po niya, kanina nung ginamit ko natin yung Phil ID, wala pong picture. Yung result, wala po siyang pinakitang picture, demographic information lang, plus yung best captured fingerprint. Sige, try natin. Yan. Ito lang po yung information. Best captured fingerprint. Now, when we use the e-Phil ID, mayroon po siyang added security feature, which is the picture of the owner. And the same picture that is printed dun sa e-Phil ID na pinipresent niya. May picture na po siya. So, we again would like to highlight that the strength of the Phil ID and the e-Phil ID is in that QR code. May tanong po ba? Maybe ask the question. So, as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, feel free to write them and we will discuss them during the question and answer portion. So with that, medyo mahaba po yung discussion. I hope you were able to grasp some information, if not all. And as mentioned, we'll have a question and answer portion later. So thank you and a pleasant afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much po, Sir Oliver Sancoco. I hope I got it right. Okay. So as promised po earlier, nakaroon tayo ng quiz B every after presentation. So I hope nakinig po kayo at nag-take down notes kayo to answer our surprise presentation for today. Okay, Sir Mark, would you like to do the honor to ask the first question?
Sige. Ako muna mauna. Kanina, sa global perspective na pinakita ni Sir Oliver, he mentioned 4 countries, correct? So 4 countries yung na-mention. Sa mga countries na yon, alin ang hindi kasama sa group? Kasi sa 4 countries, yung 3 nasa isang continent, yung isa nasa kabilang continent. So anong country yung naiiba sa group? Anyone? Si Ma'am.
Si Ma'am po.
Estonia. Saang continent po ang Estonia? Sige. Kung hindi alam kung nasaan si Estonia, yung 3 countries nasaan po sila? Nasa Asia. Correct. So si India, Pakistan, and Thailand are nasa Asia. Si Estonia ay nasa Europe. Nasa Europe, Pakistan.
Okay. May we ask the secretary po to please distribute the prizes of the winners po. Okay. So ang galing naman naman nakikinig siya at nag-research. Okay, so ito connected po sa first question po ni Sir Mark. So doon sa nabanggit po na bansa, alam po doon yung nagamit niya yung kanyang national ID for healthcare, na-reach niya yung 98% of healthcare insurance coverage in 3 years.
Si Ma'am na taga-AUF.
Yan, nauna po siya nag-list. Ano po yan, ma'am? Yes, correct, Thailand. Okay, ang gagaling naman nila, partner. Nakikinig sila.
Alam nila.
Okay. Gusto niyo pa po ba ng mga tanong? Gusto niyo pa ng notebook? Okay, next question.
Okay. I guess last muna ito for this round. No? During the presentation, it was mentioned na RA 11055 was signed on August 2018. Now the question, can you give the specific date? Counting once, si ma'am. And her answer is August 6, 2018. And that is the correct answer. Congratulations. Galing.
Okay, so yun po ang ating first round ng graded recitation with prize. Okay. So now let's move on sa ating next discussion in the interest of time. And now to discuss the topic 4, regulatory onboarding and Executive Order number 162. May we call on stage Mr. Marcos Ryan Lorente, OIC Division Chief, Government Sector Use Case Division of Use Case Development and Management Service.
Alright, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. To our ENS and ENSN Pagador, to our PSO, Aldena, Ma'am Angie, sa atin po mga kasamahan ngayon dito sa hall, magandang hapon po. I think this is not the first time that I will be presenting before the Pampanga kasi sometime last year, dito rin po mga pagkakataon, we also did the same, December 1, di ba? Naalala ko pa. So, pero that is all online. And we're happy to see now faces na nandito physically present po to hear what is really PhilSys. Now, dito po sa natin ngayon, last time, what I have presented is on the API-enabled services, which earlier presented by Sir Oliver. But now, nandito na po tayo ngayon kung paano naman niyo po, as relying party, you will be able to consume our API para po makakonect kayo kay PhilSys and do all of those services that we have. So, I'll be discussing the guidelines for the onboarding of relying parties to the PhilSys. So, for the outline of my presentation, I will be presenting the objectives, the coverage, the level of access to PhilSys API-enabled services, initial list of requirements, criteria for application, the onboarding process that you have to go through, and the general guidelines for onboarding. So ano nga po ba yung objective nitong guidelines na to? It's really to come up with a systematic way. Ang dami po kasi ng relying party natin. We have an estimate of 19,000 relying party, both from the public and the private sector. So hindi lang po si private sector ang i-onboard natin, pati po si government. Baka po sabihin, si government automatic. Hindi po. They have to undergo the same process na i-undergo ng mga private sector. So, and also, this is to ensure that there are adequate mechanism na put in place po para po doon sa data protection and security ng ating mga data isasab or ibibigay from the PhilSys registry. Now, the coverage for these guidelines are relying parties. Kayo po yun. When we say relying parties are those entities who have subscribed or consumed the API-enabled services of the PhilSys. And then, sino-sino po ito? Again, the national government agencies, local LGUs. We're happy that our provincial government from Pampanga is here and other government institution is here so that we will be able to be acquainted with how to get on board with PhilSys. The GOCC, Sciences Pag-ibig is also here. And then government financial institution, DBP, I heard DBP is also in the hall. And then state universities and colleges, but I think AUF is also here. And then financial and private sector entities. I would like to give emphasis on the last bullet, which is the financial and private sector entities. So meaning, hindi lang po ito gobyerno, this is really a whole of nation approach. It will be the entire country who will be integrating with the with the PSAs para po ma-reach natin yung objective natin for RA 11055. So what are the tier levels or access for PSAs enabled authentication services? Kanina po, Sir Oliver mentioned about yung basic online, KYC, interoperability. So these are tiers. Ang basis po nito ay we have po a council who is overseeing the implementation of the PSAs. So the council is composed of different agencies from the government na nag-ensure po ng smooth implementation of the PSAs in terms of policy. Now, this council po approved resolution number 19, which is tier level of onboarding for relying parties. So doon po define kung ano po yung mga tier level access. So for tier 0, which is an offline authentication, yung kanina pong pinakita ni Sir Oliver on the PSAs check and the physical inspection of the card is what we call a tier 0. For tier 0 po, wala po tayong integration na ginagawa. Wala rin po tayong mga subscription contract na ini-execute kasi po this could be accessed by anyone po who will be presented with the ID. Kanina po pinakita yung verify.justice.gov.ph. That is also a sufficient platform to authenticate the authenticity of the card. No? So by merely looking at the card, yun po ay also authenticating the authenticity of the card. We have covert and overt security features of the card na pwede nyo pong tingnan base po doon sa mga physical features niya. Now, for basic online authentication, which is what we call a tier 1. The tier 1 po, yung again, is a yes or no response coming from the PSAs registry. Then tier 2 is what we call an eKYC. So again, this involves sharing of data. So mas mayroon na po tayong mga requirements pa na hinihingi additional requirements vis-a-vis doon sa basic online or the tier 1. Same goes with the interoperability, which is a tier 3. So all of this, from tier 1 to tier 3, this will undergo an onboarding process. So lahat po na mag-consume noong ating API for tier 1 to tier 3, you have to undergo onboarding process. Now, what are the initial list of requirements that we will be asking coming from the relying party who would like to integrate with PSAs? Next slide. Okay. For government services, ang hinihingi po natin for tier 1 is a letter of intent, duly accomplished application form. And then we will be asking also certificate of DPO registration. And then for tier 1, we will be asking a business process map. Then for tier 2 and 3, since we will be giving more information coming from the registry, we will be asking data privacy manual as well as the latest BAPT and PIA. Sige po. May IT po ba in the room? Anyone from IT? Ayun, from MIS, from the other banks po, no? GR Bank, tama po ba ako? Nakita ko po kasi yung kulay, nakita ko sa labas. Ganyan po yung nung bangko niya. Anyways, can I ask what is a BAPT? Anyone? BAPT? Para sa isang notebook ulit? Anyone? How about PIA? Hindi po yung Philippine Information Agency na wala ko in-interview sa ANSM. But a PIA, okay. For kay ma'am, privacy impact assessment, nanalo po kayo ng isang notebook. Congratulations po. So that is a privacy impact assessment. So ito po ang hinihingi natin. Then a BAPT is a vulnerable assessment and penetration test. Vulnerability assessment and penetration test. Yun po yung BAPT. So test. So that is the mga additional requirements para po doon sa tier 2 and 3. I believe for those who are really para po mas ma-enjoy natin yung um, ma-rationalize natin yung mga processes natin. If you have systems to be integrated, you look at something that is tier 2 and 3. Para po, it can, as mentioned by Sir Oliver, for tier 2, you will be given demographic information that can be used to autofill your system. So you don't need to encode anything. Kung ano po yung nasa PSA registry natin as a foundational database, digital ID database, yun din po yung mapupunta sa inyo. So, yung problema natin of Maria na NA, Maria na MARIA, ma-erase na po natin yun kasi it could refill po your system. It's the same information that you will be getting from the registry. So, that is for government institution. Paano naman po yung, I think we also have here social protection services. Next slide. So for social protection, ano naman po, programs, which is more of yung mga programa po ng DSWD or NGOs, we will be asking us, sobra po, balikan niyo po. One slide mo. There. For this one naman po, we will be asking certificate of accreditation from DSWD, PCNC, or similar accrediting office organization na nagbibigay po ng certification to institution. So, kasi po, our service, the service of PNSME, is divided po into 3 sectors. We have po government service use case division, which is I'm handling. So, for those government services na who would like to integrate, you will be dealing more of me para po doon sa onboarding nyo. For social protection, another division is also working on this. We have po Ms. Pides Marquez, who is the head or the division chief of the social protection use case. And of course, para po doon sa private and financial sector, you will be dealing more of Sir Oliver when you go po for your onboarding. So, si Sir Oliver po ang to go to pag doon po tayo sa financial and private sector. Now, for financial and private sector, next slide. Ito naman po yung hihingi namin. So what you need to present is almost the same as the government, pero may additional lang po. The additional is a SEC registration or DTI registration or a business permit kung ano po yung applicable sa inyo. And then for financial institutions, you will be needing Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas license or authority to operate if applicable po. So these are the things that you need to prepare in terms of requirements for you to be onboarded with the PhilSys po. But that is documentary requirements lang po. So what are the criteria? What are the criteria naman po for application? We are still connecting. Mukhang nawala ng internet. But those are the things po that we will be needing po pag i-prepare na po natin para po whenever we are open for onboarding na po, you are ready. Naka-ready na po yung inyong mga system, yung inyong mga regulatory documents po para po mas madali tayo makapag-integrate with PhilSys. Okay, next slide. I think I have discussed thoroughly the requirements that we will be needing to get onboarded. Next slide. So what are the criteria for application? So one, it's a legitimacy of business to consume API-enabled authentication service. We need to also, sobra po, balik po tayo ng isa. We need to also know that the use case you have identified conform with RA 11055 or the mandate of your business. we need to also know if your identified service or the service that you chose are really appropriate for your business. So, for example, you ask for EKYC, hence we find that the needed information or the needed service that will fit your business is a basic online authentication. So we will recommend for a basic online authentication. We need to also see the capacity to integrate with the PhilSys and the capacity to consume PhilSys API-enabled authentication services, including capability to ensure data protection and security. So meaning, hindi lang po si PhilSys ang mag-take care of the information, but also you as our relying party. Dapat po yung mga relying party natin has the capacity to protect the data that is being entrusted also to you. And of course, the veracity of documents submitted to our service. So we have to check kung talaga ba legit yung mga documents being presented to us. Next slide. So this will be your journey para po kayo mag-integrate with PhilSys. So as mentioned po, doon po sa step 1, you have to submit po the requirements. So yung kanina po, list of initial requirements that we will be asking, and then you will be given a reference number. This reference number naman po will be used para po matrack nyo yung inyong application with us. Now, step 2 would be an evaluation. Here naman po, we have to review po. We have to review your submitted documents. We will be needing to endorse and recommend to our ANS for approval. And then we will issue a letter of relying party accreditation and a subscription contract. So a subscription contract po, ito po yung ibibigay namin sa inyo as a way to para po makapag-integrate kayo with PhilSys. So yung subscription contract po natin is prescriptive. So meaning these are really mga SLAs lang po on how PhilSys will give you the service, and also how are you going to, what you need to do to protect the information that is being entrusted to you. So subscription contract po siya, it's really more of knowing you accept the services we are offering you. Now, for step 3 naman po, which is a technical onboarding, ibang division po ang mag-take on ito. Once we have executed the subscription contract, you will be undergo naman po a technical onboarding. The technical onboarding po, we have a dedicated service na magtitingin naman po doon sa qualification niya for the technical onboarding. So, yung guidelines po nito, this is being developed po by our technology or our system service po. So we have po system and information infrastructure system service, ISSS. And then you will be doing po the step 4, which is the development po of your system. May lakad si Kuya, mamadali siya. Anyways, bakit po meron ito? It doesn't mean po na pag binigay po namin ng system, yung API, yun na po yung gagamitin niya. If you have existing system already, and you want to integrate with PhilSys, I'm sure that there will be tweakings with your IT infrastructure. So these APIs, actually po yung APIs po for authentication is already available on the web. We are using po modular open source identity platform or MOSIP. What you need to do is for your IT people to get familiarized with the MOSIP. The MOSIP po na authentication codes are already, or APIs are already in GitHub. So you just have to go to GitHub, that's github.com, and try to look for MOSIP. Doon po makikita nyo yung mga API codes po natin para po dito. So, and then you can develop on top of it para po ma-ready niyo po yung system niyo. Kasi this is API to API call. So, para po makatawag kayo, medyo highly technical, para makakonect po kayo sa amin, you need to create your own call system that will call the API of this. So, as a continuation po ng ating onboarding process, next slide. Okay. At any time po during your application, we may ask you for other requirements po. Like for example, supporting documents po that need po para doon sa inyong application. Possible, we will ask you to discuss your process map, yung business process map po natin para po mas maintindihan namin. And then probably our people, our staff po will be going to your offices to see your system or to do a site inspection po of your infrastructure. So meron po. This is also to give and to ensure the public na once you are connected with the services, we have done our due diligence of making sure that not just Versus is doing its own thing to protect their data, but also you, kayo po na relying party, who is connected with the services, has the capacity to protect their data being entrusted to you. So, yun po yung ano natin doon. And in case po that there is disapproval of your application, you will be notified. Then you may reapply or appeal for the disapproval that has been being given to you, and just in case you have findings and you have addressed it, you can reapply po. So again, anyone or any institution has the right to file a motion for reconsideration. So para po we need to file this from the receipt of the decision PSA Talakayan. If your motion for reconsideration is granted, the application shall be re-evaluated by the Philippines Registry Office, Technical Working Group for Use Case and Authentication. Then the recommendation of the TWG shall be endorsed to our Deputy National Statistician and the PRO head for approval. The decision of the TNS as on appeals shall be final and executory. New application shall take precedence over appeals. Okay? So meron po tayong appeal process para po doon sa mga madi-disapprove. Okay. Now, let's go doon sa next slide. So PSA will determine whether the tier being applied is appropriate to identify use cases or may propose a different tier. Ito po yung sinabi ko kanina. If we see that your mandate or your needed services from PSA is ito, we will recommend that to you po. Then PSA reserves the right to reject application, rescind approval, or deny access in case of breach of contract or falsification of documents. So if you are already onboarded and then we saw something that is anomalous or the documents being presented to us are falsified, so we have the rights to reject application. Next. One subscription contract for that ano po, system po sa PhilSys. Okay, dito po, yung consumption po ng API-enabled authentication service is free of charge. Wala po siyang bayad. Moreover, para po dun sa government institution, we are, yung mga government institution po is free when they do authentication. However, we are also looking at sustainability plans for the services. So, possible in the next, ano po, in the coming years, when this is fully implemented, we will be looking at charging for minimal fee in terms of authentication. But we will ensure that this fee will be competitive, and this will undergo po the proper process of determining the fees for the authentication. Okay. So, wala ng internet. Okay. So, yun po yung mga kailangan natin i-prepare. Actually, there are also for the RP at a particular tier, can access also lower tiers. For example, you are enrolled with KYC and you also would like to have basic online authentication, you may apply to po also. And then, as a matter of principle, the RP must always adhere to the data protection and security requirement stipulated in the contract. PSA will suspend, cancel access in case of breach. Kanina po, pinresent ni Sir Oliver yung mga penal provision. So, meron po doon is, just in case po, there is unauthorized use of the PhilSys-enabled services, you will be also subjected to the penal provision, Section 19 of RA 11055, but also other law of the land that will cover po yung paggamit po and unauthorized use of the services. So ito po, again, RA 11055 doesn't supersede any law. So if and when a system, for example, knock on wood, ma-compromise, you also need to adhere to the Data Privacy Act of 2012 by the Philippines. So if you need, you also need to report to NPC if there are breaches in your databases. So since po we are using po, kanina discuss po ni Sir Oliver that what you need to transact is your credentials, which is yung something that you know, yung PCN or alias PSN, dahil yun yung mga nakikita natin. And biometric, yung biometric po ng isang tao, you need to procure po your biometric devices. So yung biometric devices po, it has to be certified by our technical team. So you have to be, this authentication devices shall be certified compliant with the PSA standard. Also, the PSA shall conduct random regular audit to its accredited RPs to ensure compliance with the guidelines in terms of contract. So from time to time po, meron po mag-inspect, mag-audit po on the on your infrastructure, on the way you do business, and also yung mga contacts po natin. Then, PSA will publish quarterly a list of accredited RPs and status of accreditation, whether active, expired contract, or others on our website. The PSA may also publish statistics on the usage of PhilSys API-enabled authentication services by RPs. So, ano lang po yung sinasabi dito? What we are saying is that we will be publishing, or we will be having the list of RPs na nakakonect kay PhilSys. So, ibig sabihin, para po yung mga tao, yung mga registered person under the PhilSys, they know that institution that they are transacting is legit to collect po information coming from the PhilSys or legit to query with PhilSys. Para po ensure lang din po sila na when they give po information using the PhilSys, they are already these are accredited relying parties po. Okay? So just in case po you have questions with regards to the presented po na onboarding guidelines, we will be doing po some question and answer po later to answer po your query. Just write down po your questions. Then we'll try to address it by ano po. Probably you can use my para ako na lang I'll ask na lang po for the connection so I can project it po from here. I think this one po is very important po for us, all of us here, because what I'm going to discuss po next is the or what to. About the yeah. Okay, sige po. Probably we'll give each and everyone a bio break. So let's have 5 minutes para po sa ating if you want to go to the bathroom, try to po muna stretch a bit para po then we'll go po to Executive Order number 162 series of 2022. For now po, good afternoon everyone.
Okay po, while fixing the technical difficulties po, serve naman po yung ating PM snap. Pag-miranda mo naman po tayo and then magkakaroon po tayo ng CR break before we proceed with our next presentation po. Thank you po.
As a notebook. As a notebook. Kanina, sa presentation po ni Sir Oliver, kay Sir Oliver muna tayo, mamaya tayo sa mga.
Ano daw yung pangalan ni Sir Oliver?
Ano daw po yung apelido ni Sir Oliver? That's a program po.
Anyway, may nabanggit silang dalawa about sa standard ng photo, ng front-facing photograph. Kung hindi natin magbigay yung buong definition or kung yung buong, kasi abbreviated yung nabanggit, ano po yung abbreviated word na nabanggit ni Sir Mark at saka ni Sir Oliver? Dun sa basis dun sa standard ng front-facing photograph. Anyone po? Yun. Parang may narinig ako. Lalapitan ko si Sir. Ang sagot ni Sir ay ikaw. Which means another notebook for ikaw. Gusto yung makapagbigay ng meaning ng ikaw. Actually, na-search namin. Ikaw, which means, anyone po? So ito yung basis ng ating standard ng front-facing photograph. Ikaw, International Civil Aviation Organization. Oh. So that's ikaw. Yun po. Diba? Another, for one notebook. Ano ko yung sumagot? Another. Dun sa year 1 to 3. Diba may year 1 to 3 tayo? O, dagdag na natin yung 0. Year 0, 1, 2, 3. Ayun po yung nagbibigay lang ng answer na yes or no. Si ma'am na naka-red, ang sagot po niya ay, lalapitan muna natin para ma-sure kung tama o wala. Yes or no, yung nagbibigay ng sagot. Year 1, which is? May follow-up question. Yan, nag-load si ma'am. Year 1, which is the basic authentication. So, yun po. From what agency po si ma'am? Wow, from Bank of the Philippine Islands. And how about the meaning of EKYC? EKYC. Anyone po? Ay, si sir. Kaya lang, once lang si sir. Pag sasagot pa ulit si sir, yung chocolate na ibigay natin. I'll give chance to others. Si Sir po na nasa likod. EKYC means Electronic Know Your Customer. And that is correct. From Guangzhou Water District po, no? Yeah, thank you very much po. Masarap po ba yung french fries? Naubos ko po yung french fries ko sa ganong kaiksing panahon. But the french fries is good. Thank you. So I hope everyone had their breaks. They have salad. Talagang yung bumasalad talaga yung kanina yung pati inaano, mama. Anyways. So let's go to slide 7. More. There. So this one is very important po in terms of the implementation of the thesis. So we would like to give emphasis on this topic because this is really more of the acceptance. Ano po ba yung minamandato ng EO 162?
So as an overview po, acceptance of PSA components in all government and private transaction. So emphasize on the all government and private transaction. Then PSA integration in citizen charter or private sector requirements. So this one po is Executive Order number 162 series of 2022. Kailan ito nilabas? Nilabas po ito noong February of this year. So what is the title of EO 162? This is really institutionalizing the acceptance of Philippine identification or the Philippine Identification System number as a sufficient proof of identity and age in all government and private transactions. Pinamandato po nung RA 11055 is that the PID or the PSA or its derivative as a sufficient proof of identity of a person. Now, EO 162, ito na po yung anak niya. EO 162, ang sinasabi po niya that the PSIS shall be sufficient proof of identity and age. So ngayon po kasama na yung age doon sa sinaserve the purpose po ni PSIS. Okay, RA 1103. RA 11055 states that the establishment of Philippine Identification System means Section 7 and 12 of the PSIS number shall be honored as an accepted and sufficient proof of identity. So yung sinasabi ko po kanina, ang mandato po ng batas ay really to as a sufficient proof of identity for RA 11055. PhilID shall serve as an official government-issued identification documents for both government and private sector entities. So meaning, kung presentan po kayo ng PhilID or ng ePhilID or its equivalent, that should be a sufficient proof for identification and age. So no other document shall be asked kung ito po yung sinaserve na purpose o yung kailangan nyo from an identity. Okay? So acceptance of PSIS components in all government and private transactions shall be a sufficient proof of identity and age. So ito po, ang lahat po ng ang coverage po nito ay NGAs, government instrumentalities, department, bureaus, LGUs, GOCCs, GFI, state universities and colleges, and other chartered institutions na ang tawag na po from here is really the covered agency and private sector entities. So meaning, pag presentan kayo, dapat po it should be a sufficient proof of identity and age upon authentication. Paano in-authenticate yung kanina pong pinakita, yung present, yung PSIS check, kung ito ay legit, you can already verify. So there's no need for you to turn down the ID being presented to you if it's really serving the purpose of identity verification and age. Dahil po under the RA 11055, there is a penalty for non-acceptance of the PhilID or its derivatives. So kaya po, naka-watch out po sa inyo. Kaya po kanina, tinanong ni Sir Oliver kung sino po, meron na po bang nasulatan dito si Sir Oliver Champoco. Kasi po, we are really into the enforcing of the penal provision of RA 11055 for the acceptance of the PhilID and the PSIS. So, I think that is a penalty of 500,000 for non-acceptance of the PhilID without just reason for any entities na magre-refuse of accepting the PhilID. Okay? 500,000 pa sabi nyo. Maliit ba? Pero this is really giving our citizen equal access to to services being given by the government and the private sector. Acceptance of the PSA components in all government and private transactions, so the PSN, the PCN to the legal ID, and the alias PSN as generated in the mobile app. Manipulating tayo dito. As authenticated po, this should be through the PSIS, shall be accepted po as a sufficient proof of identity. Now, I'll be i-lift ko po in toto yung nakalagay doon sa batas or sa EO 162 unless otherwise provided by law. The presentation of the field ID, PSN or its derivative as authenticated shall be sufficient proof of identification and of all other personal details stated therein without the need for presentation of other identification documents. The sole document for identity verification. In this regard, PIL ID, PSN, or PSN derivative may be presented in lieu of birth certificate for transaction that requires individual to establish their age, including but not limited to application for marriage license, application for student driver's permit or conductor's license with the Land Transportation Office, enrollment of students in public and private school, or registration for Philippine Education Placement Test, application with the Professional Regulation Commission, and application relative to voters registration with the Commission of Election. Accordingly, no additional proof of identity or age shall be required upon presentation of the PIL ID, PSN, or its derivative as authenticated. So, sinasabi po na once again, this is really a reiteration of RA 11-055 na dapat po i-accept natin yung PIL ID, e-PIL ID, the PSN derivatives as a sufficient proof of identity for and age doon sa mga transaction that require such. As authenticated, next. So ito po yung kanina, meron ng animation. So, marriage. And then, licenses. And then, application for, school. Then, PRC. And then, to vote. So, next po, the PSA shall ensure that the card holders or holders of PSN shall not be prejudiced if authentication cannot be performed through no fault on the part of the said person. Meaning, kung sakasakali po na somebody nagpa-authenticate sa inyo and then hindi nyo siya ma-authenticate because of, for example, down in system, that there should not, hindi po sila dapat ma-prejudice from services that you are being offered or you are offering. Kasi nga po, you have other means of authenticating by simply looking at the card, looking at the overt physical feature of the card, you will be able to see whether that is authentic already. So no need to ask for other documents in terms of identity verification po in each ng ating client. Now, this also adheres, next slide, that all cover agencies are directed to amend their respective citizens charter para po doon sa ating mga government sector. So, you have to amend po yung inyong citizens charter stating that as regards identification requirements to integrate with PSA components and accommodate its features. So meaning, dapat po ma-integrate natin siya doon sa mga citizen charter natin to adhere to the RA 110322 or the ease of doing business of 2018. So, mandated po tayo through executive order to integrate the po PhilSys in your citizens charter. Now, for in addition to the provision of this order, banks and financial institutions shall comply with the relevant issuance of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, yung kanina pong binanggit ni Sir Oliver, and other government regulatory agencies, and communicate to the public such policies and guidelines on the use of the PhilID, ePhilID, PSN, or PSN derivatives. So, meron na po tayo mga regulations na nilabas or policies na nilabas, memoranda na nilabas si Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas as well as other institutions in terms of acceptance of the PhilID and ePhilID. So we hope from this group we will be expecting the same po, that the PhilID, ePhilID, the PSN and its derivative will be accepted as a sufficient proof of identity and age in all transactions. With that po, maraming salamat at magandang hapon po.
Okay pa po ba tayong lahat? Parang may nag-start din ako na natutulog. Hindi, joke lang po. Yung tabi ko? Okay. So may tanong daw po si Sir Mark. Ano yung mga tanong mo, Sir Mark?
Right. So, part po ng ating question and answer. Check lang natin kung nakikinig po ba tayo kanina. So, ano pong RA yung last na binanggit ni Sir Mark? What RA? No, si Sir naka-blue. Or otherwise known as of 2018. Okay. At least, alam niyo, sir, attentive siya, Ma'am Emily. Bigyan ng notebook yan. Ito. True or false? True or false? PhilSys number is the 16-digit number microprinted at the back of the PhilID. True or false? Nagtaas ng kamay ang taga-AUF Medical Center. Sabi ni Ma'am ay
False.
false. Bakit po false?
It's 12, not 16.
Wow! It's 12, not 16. Oh, di ba? Alam ni Ma'am kung ilan yung ating PhilSys number. So, kung hindi po PhilSys number yung 16-digit, what is the 12-digit printed in front of your ePhilID? Or the PhilID, printed at the PhilID? No. Nauna daw po yung taga-microtech. So, ang answer po ni Ma'am from microtech ay ano po yan? Card number. Are we going to accept the answer? Mga inampalan? Ang sagot po kasi ni Ma'am ay card number. Yung 12. Yung 12. Kung yung 12 digit po, printed in front. The 16. The 16 digits. The 16 digits. 16 digits. Ang sabi po ni Ma'am Emily ay hindi daw po accepted yung card number lang. So kung hindi po accepted yung card number, natawag doon sa 16 digits, what is accepted? Ma'am, let's give chance to so this is for
Take chocolate. Nauna si ma'am na nag-task kanina. Ay, bibigyan na lang daw yung katabi. So, yung katabi po yung tatanungin ko. Siya po yung sasagot. So, sir, ano po yung sagot? PCN or credit card number? It's the PCN or the PSA card number. Explain po ni Ma'am Emily.
Is the card number not acceptable? Because there are two card numbers there. The PSA card number and the serial card. So, hindi pwede card number.
Yeah, so yun po. Yes, that's correct answer. Yun po yung explanation. Ano pa ba tayo? Right. So, ngayon, dahil tapos na po kami magtanong, let us now proceed to the open forum. Kayo naman po yung bibigyan namin ng chance na magtanong. At bawat magtatanong, magkakaroon din po sila ng prizes. So, so may we please invite in front our resource speakers, Sir Mark, Sir Oliver, and Ma'am Emily, and Ma'am Angie. So, mag-iikot po kami. Meron po ba gustong magtanong? This is your chance to...
Open area. Siguro ito siguro na nakabukas sa
Yan. Anyone po from our attendees? May gusto po ba tayong itanong tungkol sa thesis? For a notebook. And Cadbury shots. Meron po ba? Ayun, si Ma'am. Ma'am from BDOS and downtown po.
Usually po kasi may nare-receive kami mga card, yung mga picture nila parang tampered or sabi, ang explain po nila kasi sa amin, pagkabukas daw po nila ng mga envelope, dumidikit daw po yung picture. So, minsan wala yung kabilang kanya, minsan yung buong pisngi, borado. Parang doon na lang napapalitan. Kasi, hindi naman po nila fault yun eh, pagkabukas ng sira na kabal. So, yes, there are cases so we are already addressing that concern. I think we are asking lacking at the top of the island. So that's what we should have to feel. To request for the data launching soon the facility to update their record, but it will entail a change in the ID also. So, kapag change ng ID, change the new or the basis part number. The PSN, it remains the same because that's your permanent number. But the PCN will change. Parang sa ATM card or sa credit card, diba? Card number lang yung nakikita mo din sa card na yun. But the savings account number, the account number is different. That's it. So, but to answer the question, we will announce when the facility is open. Because the updating will happen in the registration centers of nursing.
So yeah, thank you very much po, Ma'am. Here's your tablet. Meron pa po ba? Any questions po? Ayun, si Sir. Sir, saan po?
Good afternoon po. I'm just curious lang dun sa updating natin ng picture dun sa ID. Kasi di ba ma'am, pwedeng 5 years old na mag-register ka and then gagamitin mo para malayo na yung
Meron bang required na year for you to update dapat yung photo dun sa ID? Thank you.
15 years old, yung bata. So, kapag 15 years old po, updating free of charge. Yung biometrics. Kasi ang ating mga biometrics are already permanent pagdating ng 15 years old. So, yung ano naman kasi, yung below 5, hindi pa pwede na dapat. Wala pa, asok na. Yung sa below 5. And then 5 to 14, kapag sila pa-release ko ng 5 to 14 years old sila, at the age of 15, mag-a-update sila. And that will be the permanent ID.
Thank you very much, sir. Another topic. Any more questions po from the group? Ay, ito si ma'am. From GR Bank daw po.
Ano po yung magiging process sa pagpapalit ng ID? Nung damage, gagaya mo sa atin kasi nasira din. Right now, pwede ka lang kumuha ng PKOD para magamit mo na. Kasi yung nasira yung picture, pwede rin yung PKOD. But if you want the card of next before, you have to wait for our announcement. When you can come to the PSA Services Center, then have your ID replaced. You will pay a fee, of course, to the replacement of the ID. Pagkaganon po, depende, actually depende sa case. So, we need to prove if it is really aware of their pay or deliberate ba na pinaskas niya sa voice. So, but we will be announcing all those guidelines very soon. But for now, if you want to have your ID changed, kasi may mga missing information na makita, you can request for the printed document. Then we will be launching very soon also the downloadable PIL ID. So the PDF format of that, or the printed PIL ID, you have a sample. Kasi yun, PDF yan actually. So we will be launching an application that will allow you to download it. And pwede na yun, acceptable yun to the for the relying parties to accept at pre-sent chat. Kasi ang importante naman doon is the QR code na i-verify siya. So this December na yan, launching yung downloadable PQI. This is how the printed version of the detail ID looks like. Hindi na parang half na siya ng bond paper. But actually, the ID here is the white lang talaga. Ito lang, the detail code. And later on, laminate. Okay? Kasi yung lower part are just the reminders of how you can use and verify your detail ID. And then this one will have a downloadable PDF version. But of course, to download it, you'll have to undergo a process para ma-verify na ito nga talaga yung mag-download or sa'yo talaga yung detail ID na nililit to review from our system. Sabi nga ni Ma'am Angie kanina, dun sa labas, meron tayong booth doon, PSA's booth. That booth can be used both for registration and claiming of your detail ID. So if you have your transaction slip, so yun naman yung requirement. You need to have your transaction slip or your TRN with you so that your detail ID can be retrieved.
Any more questions? Kung sa mga susunod po magtatanong, pwede malapit na natin sa mga ating private sales. From Guagua Water District.
Kasi ngayon po, as discussed earlier, we are given the available PSNs po na yung generated yung PSN nila, binibigyan po ang bawat province. Tapos kapag available na po siya, ibigay sa amin, ipiprint namin siya agad, and then we will deliver them at your house. So kami na po rin, kami yung registration team po na umiikot sa Pampanga or in the Philippines as for that. Kami na po yung nag-deliver sa mga bahay para matanggap nila yung e-fill ID po, hindi yung physical ID. Pero yung physical ID po niya, parating pa rin naman po.
I would like just to correct mo. It's PSA ID kasi nasabi. It's PIL ID. PSA is the system. PIL ID is the card. PIL ID is the printer. Not PSA ID.
Kasi PSA namin.
Thank you very much, sir. Open po rin. Si Ma'am po muna from
Questions still.
Go back to you on your question on that. Kasi kahit ako, hindi rin ako familiar of how many characters is allowable in the ID. And I have a friend who has 4 names. Anya Carlena Victoria Marushka. That's just her first name. Okay? Wala pa yung kanyang middle and last name. So, a very good friend. So, we will get back to you on your question. I-check lang namin on the data dictionary on how many characters is allowed for the field on the first, on the name, full name yan. First name, middle name, and the last name also. Thank you for raising that concern. Good thing that you asked that question. Kasi this is the first time that was raised to us. So the allowed number of characters is 300. So kaya-kaya yung aling pa yung pangalan mo. Kaya-kaya, 300 characters. Acceptable. Actually, we cannot say that it's incorrect because the information in the ID will depend on the identification document that they presented during registration. It is not only the birth certificate that can be accepted during registration, that the passport, that the unique ID. So, and then may iba pa, kung wala kang ID, barangay certification is accepted. So, our registration officers will only accept on face value what they submitted. So we cannot say that it's incorrect. If we have cases of that, you have to report it to us kasi probably nga uh, hindi tama yung document na sinabit niya. Okay? Kasi meron ng cases na ganyan. They use a different ID to submit. So yung SSS nga, kasi it's a valid ID siya. Yung unique ID niya, hindi naman siya yung sa birth certificate niya eh. So sinundan lang kung ano yung sa record. Meron nag-present siya ng birth certificate, hindi na magkakaroon. Diba? So, we cannot say that it's an incorrect information. Probably the document that was used for that is another identification document. Now, how do you know that that ID is not fake? Kasi yun yung kailangan. Kung fake siya or hindi. We have the PSA check. So you can verify it through the PSA check yung QR code. You scan the QR code kasi digitally signed yan. So the QR code, you cannot tamper the QR code. If you tamper on it, hindi na mababasa ng digital signature. Kahit may isang character lang dyan na mag-change, hindi na siya mababasa.
Let me add one more. So for those who are yet to register, there's in the process, you will be asked to verify or to check before they finalize it up. Please take time to correct it or to read it para maiwasan din po yun.
If I may add, kasi po kami ngayon, nagpupunta na po kami sa schools, no? And of course, we know if it's high school or elementary school, under age yung mga yan, ano? So we require the parents to be there. Sabi ko, huwag kayong magre-rehistro nang wala ang magulang. Dahil ang magulang mag-check kung tama yung pangalan ng anak nila. So yun po, hindi ko lang alam kung may nakakaligtas, pero yun po ang ruling namin sa Pampanga. If there's no parent, no registration will happen. Siguro kaya mas konti pa rin sa amin. Kasi medyo maselan kami pagdating sa party.
You're ready. We have called the RC guy. Yung pa naman, yung context lang, and then yung other details we provided by the post. Yung signature kasi is establish yung authenticity, or yung authenticity, or yung mismong tao. I can just sign any signature. You cannot say that that's not me, di ba? But using my fingerprint, my biometrics, you cannot be Oliver Chan po using my fingerprint. That's the. And the signature for the bank is to verify that person. There's no better way to verify that person other than his or her biometrics. As I mentioned, yung signature, I think have any other signature. Yes.
But since you have not yet integrated with the business, diba? And we already have the IDs in circulation. So again, the signature is used to establish the identity and the authenticity of the ID presented. You have the business check now to do that. So when you use the business check, there is a picture in the ID card. Verify, kakamukha ba sila? Check. Now, authentic ba itong ID na pinipresent niya? This is check. That will establish the identity of the person and the authenticity of the ID. So there's really no need for a wet signature. Okay. Again, sinabi na. I can just sign any and have, Filipinos are very entrepreneurial. Diba? Pagawa ko sa rector, or sa kapitbahay ko, and then magagawa naman ko ng signature ko, sabihin ko ako ngayon. Because other IDs, as you know, do not have that, the digital capacity or capability that you can use to verify the maganda nga gamitin mo ang PID because you only need the national ID to present it to the bank. And dapat i-accept na ninyo yun. You don't need to provide another identification. Sinabi yan sa batas, RA 11055. Now, if you were saying because we validate, kasi sige na, continue nyo lang yung society. I'm talking to the BAP President here, kabitin niya. Sige lang, continue yung process nyo. Pero ang national ID, may PSA step, you can already authenticate it. Now, what you need to do, coming from your head office though, is to modify your operation process manual or your operations manual. Pagdating sa ganyan. But otherwise, hindi nyo lang pa-capture, pero you cannot use the signature to verify the identity using the national ID because andun na, established na siya, may picture, andun yung identification na, you can also check the authenticity of the ID as a QR code. So that will not be an excuse kapag hindi kayo nag-accept. Oliver will go after you. Just so you know, he's not just the head of our financial and private sector use case division. He also heads the PSA's advocacy unit, which yung kanilang mandate is really the acceptance of the national ID. Yes. So, hindi na dapat problema siya with the business check. Okay.
Remind ko lang ulit mo, we have the issuances of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. I hope you have a copy of that. Yung share lang natin yung during the MasterCard. Yeah. Pag may present yung LTO, how do you ensure that that is authentic? Wala. Diba? It's only PPI or PID. You can verify.
Even DSPs, endorsing the use of the national ID this point because lalo na dito sa banking sector. So, sa banking sector, yun ay endorse nila. We had a forum, we attended a forum, the Mastercard Customer Forum. So, the Bankers Association of the Philippines, they are also endorsing it already na hindi mo kailangan ng web signature to really allow a person to be an account. Kasi nga, there's already a digital verifying authenticity. And then we look at the ID also. Kamukha ba? Yung unang-una di ba? Pag inabot sa iyo yung ID, kamukha ba? Now, kamukha. Totoo pa to. Authentic pa siya. System.
Diba? Ang daming sagot sa tanong.
Para masulit yung yung salad ko. Tawa talaga ako dun sa salad. Classic. Anyways, medyo yung lang po natin kasi, mindset natin is on the fiscal part. The reason why all of you are here is really to prepare for the integration. Because even without a card, when everyone is integrated with the FSS, you don't need a fiscal card. What you need is your number and your biometrics. Tawagin na. Well, number, yung inyong business card number, which is clearly printed on the card. And also, when we launch for the LSDS or the mobile app, you can already generate your LSDSA. Why we are saying this? Because the card is just a representation of your identity. But to validate your identity, you need your biometrics. That is your higher level of assurance. Para po sa inyo, kayo na tinatransact. When fully integrated with cases, you are given a higher level of assurance that you are giving the services to the rightful person. Di po ba? Kasi nga po, nandoon, we verify using biometric, which is unique to the person and using the number that is unique to them.
Hindi naman siya pala. The national ID for the business is a digital ID. That's why we have this online authentication services that we will be launching soon. Kasi yung means of verification it's not really focused too much on the physical ID, but rather on the credential of the person, which are PCN, or yun yung delivery ng PSN mo kasi hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung PSN for transaction. So PCN or your alias PSN, kasi very soon then, we will be launching the President Services portal where you can generate your alias PSN na pwede mong gamitin for transaction. And then there is also this, explain Oliver kanina, token seeding and matching. Ito naman for interoperability of other of agencies, between two or more agencies. So yun, pinapadala yun. Once na authenticate ka or na-verify ka ni business, a seed, a token of your PSN, you send to the agency that authentic or verified your identity. And then another seed is sent to another agency that magtanungan through cases. Kasi di ba may cases, meron ako mga account, per bank pay. So bigyan mo ng credit card. Gano'n. So pwede mo na i-verify mo kung siya talagang bank account. Is the Emily Pagador she's saying here is the same Emily Pagador here in the Philippines. So our PLCC is really a digital ID. Kaya nga, when when we see that people are clamoring with their PPL ID and the physical ID, sabi natin, bilisan na natin yung pag-release ng authentication application. We have the different relying parties integrate. So that at the end of the day, you really don't need your physical ID, so you just need your credentials, PCN, and your biometric information. Sayang lang, there was no opportunity to demonstrate the basic authentication. In our previous IDCs, diba nag-demo kami na i-input yung PCN, nag-scan ng biometric, yung fingerprint. And yun, nagpadala ng response to cases ng yes or no. Not 10 minutes. 10 seconds. Masyado matagal yung 10 minutes.
Hindi na nung na-verify ako.
When we did a control pilot. It's a testing activity to see the performance of the authentication application. But essentially, yung pag-scan is less than 10 seconds. Yung response, once the scan information, yung fingerprint information is sent, 2 seconds. Ando na yung reply. Sasabihin na ni PLCs, yes, it's a match. Or no, it's no match. It's really, I need to really advocate that the PLCs is a digital ID. That's why our means of verification, online na rin siya, di ba? So, isang ano pa lang yan.
Any more questions from the group? So much. Marami pa po akong chocolates.
Sinindak mo naman na siya.
Natakot po yan.
We want to take this opportunity na sana for the banking sector, ito. I-accept na kasi we being the printed we should advise on the acceptance of the detail ID. Kung yung sabihin na papel lang siya because it bears the same value as the physical ID card. And when you scan this, secure siya, hindi yan pwedeng i-photoshop yan. Mahirapan sila to bayaran or i-transfer. So, the detail ID is a valid ID kasi we've been receiving reports coming from everybody na sinasabi pa rin, this is not a valid ID. So, I hope you will advocate in your agencies or sa mga kaibigan nyo, barkada nyo, kamag-anak nyo, na valid siya. And then if you want to enjoy the benefits of having the national ID, mag-claim na kayo ng inyong detail ID. Kasi magkakaroon din naman kayo ng physical ID eventually. We're doing the detail ID para ma-enjoy nyo na yung benefits ng having a national ID. Do you know na yung mga kababayan na dito sa Pilipinas, 50% lang ang merong account, bank account, adult population, 50% ang merong bank account. 35% of that is because they do not have a valid identification. And if they have this, kaya na nila makapag-create ng bank account. Kaya hindi namin ito pinupush for financial inclusion kasi nga nakita natin during the pandemic, ang hirap na distribute yung ayuda kasi walang bank account yung tao. But if, so yun. So, hindi sa amin galing yun. Hindi pa namin na-verify yung kung doble-doble. But the point is, yung ease of distributing the benefits, the services, will be facilitated by this ID. So, sana encourage nyo yung mga kilala nyo. Kung natatagalan na sila with the physical ID cards, claim their retail ID.
Any questions? Yan. So, mukhang wala na po sila mga katanungan. May distribute po ang team. May distribute po ang team na evaluation forms. Pakisagutan na lang po ang evaluation forms and then we are going to proceed with the awarding of certificates. And for the opportunity for with ours.
Or else our arsenal.
Alright. So, habang sumasagot po yung iba ng evaluation forms, isang tanong pa para sa isang notebook. Halimbawa raw po na hindi tanggapin ang field ID or the e-field ID on that matter, magkano po ang fine? Ayun, nagtaas ka agad.
Radyo Guagua FM. Radyo Guagua FM. Your full-time community radio. Broadcasting from the business capital of the 2nd District of Pampanga, Municipality of Guagua. Ito ang tapat at maaasahang radyo, angat sa serbisyo at para sa publiko.